Hello FlossTube, my name is Leann and I am leann.stitches here on YouTube and on Instagram. Today is Wednesday, January 25th, 2023, and this is my 34th FlossTube. It has been 2 weeks since I filmed last and I have quite a bit of stitching to show you. It's been a very eventful 2 weeks. I've been here, there, and everywhere. So yeah, I spent last weekend at the Oxford Fiber Festival selling yarn and getting to meet lots of local to the Memphis, Mississippi area people, and it was just really a lot of fun. And I met lots of cross stitchers and embroiderers and all kinds of different fiber artists on top of knitters and crocheters. So I really enjoyed myself, but unfortunately it did cut into my stitching time a little bit because I completely forgot to pack a cross stitch project, and I didn't even know it was possible. I'm here to tell you it is. So when you're like getting nervous that you're overpacking for a trip and you've packed like 5 or 6 whips or works in progress for those who are new here, and you're thinking, you know, I'm only going for 2 days. Why do I need 5 whips? Pack the 5 whips because it could be worse. You could be packing none and then you would be sad, like I was sad. Anyway, so yes, it did cut into my stitching time a little bit, just show prep and then travel and being at the show and being tired at the end of the night. It definitely cut into my stitching time a little bit, but somehow I still managed to have lots to show you. So let's get to it. Oh, one other thing. This hat is the best hat. It is my new favorite thing. It is a hat that my mom and I designed together. It uses bulky weight yarn, so it knits up in just a couple of hours, and it has this cute little palm on it. And I'm going to be releasing this hat in my shop release today and taking it with me because this weekend I am going to be at the yarn shop Hook and Needle in Maryville, or Merville as the locals call it, Tennessee. So if you are anywhere in that area, in Knoxville, somewhere around there, I will be there Friday and Saturday. I don't know what time the shop is open on Friday. I want to say 10 to 5, and then Saturday they're open 10 to 4. And I'll be hanging out there this weekend. So again, lack of stitching time, but it should be fun. Anyway, stitching, cross stitching. Yes, I have a finish. Okay. Very excited about this one. I have been wanting to finish this one for a very long time. Here it is. This is BZ Spring by Cottage Garden Samplings, and I started this with Zan of Crazy Band Lady Studios May 1st, 2021, and it was supposed to be done in May, but I lost my stitchy bug, and I tried to finish it in December before the end of the year, and I just couldn't get it done. So here it is. I stitched this 1/2 on Fox and Rabbit's flannel flower. I finally remember the name. And I used the called for DMC, and then I also used 1 skein of Forbidden Fiber Co. Midas Touch, which is this Q, and I think it's also the crown. I have lots of design element changes. That's my fancy way of saying mistakes. This one is probably the most notable. I don't know what happened there, but that flower petal ended up being super big. And then somewhere in here, I was stitching this at the 901 Stitchers meeting, and somewhere in there I messed up. And so my pattern, see, it's supposed to be like that. It turned out like that, and we're just going with it. So yeah, I am so happy to have that done. And I have a whole 1/4 yard of this. So I plan on stitching at least another 2 on the same piece of fabric at some point. I don't know when, but I'm going to. Let's get straight to the whips and I'll show you my progress. The first piece I have to show you is Marvel Heroes, and this is by Popular Cross Stitch. I never remember the name of the shop that I bought it at, but it really doesn't matter because they're closed. They were on Etsy. And I am stitching this for my husband. I can't remember how many stitches I got on it, but I did a lot of progress and I'm very happy. I'm gonna put it down here, and then maybe I can put the progress picture over my head, or maybe like this. I don't really remember what I worked on. I know I worked in her hair a whole lot. And I think I did some green and some black. You'll be able to tell better than me with the progress picture. I think I got about 1,000 stitches done, but I'm not really sure. I worked on it for 3 or 4 days, and it was a lot of confetti in that that one girl's hair. So that's mostly what I worked on. And then I gave myself a break and I did stitch some of that 939. So yeah. So the way I kind of structured the last 2 weeks was I worked on Busy Spring first. It was kind of like my bonus piece, if you will, where I worked on it for like the first 30 minutes or so of every evening, or like if it was after dinner before the kids went to bed and they were off taking showers and stuff like that, then I would put a string or two into Busy Spring. And once I finished that, I decided to work on one of my New Year's Eve 12 by 12 starts, because I'd really like to finish all of those this year. And I picked Parliament of Owls to start with. It's by Barrick. And I picked this one just because it was the smallest one, although it is pretty much full coverage in there, so it's a lot of stitching. But I figured it was the smallest piece, the smallest size, so I thought maybe I could finish it in a couple of months just by putting a string a night in. And here's where I'm at. And I have only done 2 colors so far. This line across the bottom is, it's supposed to be $37.99, but when I went to start it on New Year's Eve, I didn't have any $37.99 handy, and it was really late and I was feeling too lazy, so I didn't want to get any. And I did have some Forbidden Fiber Co. Black Magic. No, not Black Magic. Railroad Lantern. It was one of the skeins from the Advent calendar, and I had just finished model stitching that train pattern. It was just a month ago and it feels like forever, and I can't remember the name of it. Holiday Express. I had just finished model stitching Holiday Express, so I had the Railroad Lantern out on my table, so I just grabbed that, and that's what I did that at. And then everything else that I've outlined so far has been the called for DMC. I think the model is actually stitched in MPI silks, but she did give a DMC conversion, and so I use that. And I'm just using 3371, which, if you know, is a super dark brown. So yeah, I'm excited to finish the outline and get to stitch some of the windows in the Houses of Parliament. It'd be pretty cool. So yeah, that's that one. This is, I'm stitching 1/2 on a 40 count Granite by Forbidden Fiber Co. So, and then the next piece I have to show you is Dark Queen of the Earth. It's a sal currently happening with Autumn Lane Stitchery, and I do not have a printout of it, so I will just pop in what it looks like right there. And you can see so far 5 parts have been released, and I am working on part 4, and I'm hoping to have it finished before part 6 is released, part 4 at least, but it's a lot of stitching. So that's where I am, and that's basically the top up there. And then it kind of goes behind the Q-snap. I didn't take anything off the Q-snaps today. I was just happy to be filming because I'm going out of town again tomorrow and I've got a lot going on and I wanted to make sure to film, so I just didn't take anything out. So yeah, I've just been working on this tree trunk back here. There's like a mushroom and some flower that I'm really excited to get to stitch. And I'm gonna take this one with me this weekend, so hopefully I can get some stitching time in. And I've only done about 1,500 of the 3,300 stitches in part 4, and I know I can't get the rest of it done while I'm gone this weekend, but maybe I can at least put a dent in it. I'm stitching this one on every Tuesday, and I put a couple of hours into it every Tuesday, so yeah. But it's really neat seeing this actually back in the camera, because when I'm stitching on it, I can't see how shaded it is, so it looks really neat to look at it in the lens of the camera. I am stitching this 2/2 on a 32 count unnamed fabric that we dyed up in the studio. It is very similar to my Parliament fabric, just a little bit more saturated. And so I'm hoping to get this one up in the shop maybe this summer. Make it one of our summer colorways or something, because it's really pretty. I love it. The pink and the orange, and it's just bright and cheerful. The next piece, and I have to get some hair off of it. Ooh, picture. Halloween at Hawk Run Hollow. I am stitching this with my friends Sammy Liz and Pumpkin Creek Primitives, who is Bobby, and Memphis Sarah E. Sarah. I talk about them all the time on this channel. So if you have watched me before, you know that we chat all the time and we are stitching this together. I think we had a Zoom call since the last time I filmed, and that was always fun. We stayed up really late. We usually finish Zooming around 10 or 10:30, and I think we were up till midnight or so. And we had some really good conversation. So yeah, that is by Carriage House Samplings, which is also Kathy Barrick, because she's fabulous. And here is where I am at. And I have been obsessed with stitching this fire and this cauldron since I started this piece, and part of me almost went ahead and stitched the middle block after I finished this one, just because I wanted to stitch that cauldron so bad. So I'm so excited to finally be stitching on it. And so that's basically what I worked on. I've been doing the fire, and then Monday night I started outlining the cauldron. And I'm stitching this 2/2 on a 28 count Cashel linen, and it was dyed by me. There's no comparable colorway in the shop right now other than maybe Love Potion, because I was just learning how to dye when I dyed up this piece. I'm using the called for DMC, or I think again the model was Stitchin NPI, and she did a DMC conversion in the pattern, so that's what I'm using. And there was something else I was going to say, but I can't remember what it is. I don't know. I'm trying to finish this year. I've got 6.5 more blocks to go. I'm pretty much halfway done with it at this point, so I think I can get there. We'll see. But yeah. Oh, I've been stitching this at night. I try to stitch on it just about every night, around 9:30 to 10 o'clock. I've been trying to put my stitching away at 10 o'clock and get ready for bed, because I have to get up at 5:45 to get my kids to school. So somewhere around 9:30, 9:45, I will put away my main piece for the evening, and I will pick this up and just put a thread or two in, a couple hundred stitches, whatever I can do. And so yeah, last night I was so into working on the Dark Queen of the Earth that I didn't get any stitching done. So that's why I know I started working on this on Monday. So yeah. The next piece I have is Consider the Lilies by Heartstring Samplery. And I started this for my birthday in 2020. I started a whole bunch of patterns for my birthday because it was my 40th birthday, and we were supposed to get to go to Europe, but it was 2020, therefore that didn't happen. So I just started a bunch of projects and bleached my hair instead. So yeah. This one, I have been working on this tree for what seems like forever. It's the tree that doesn't end. But I think I made a lot of progress in the last 2 weeks. I finished stitching the branches. I can't remember if I had all the branches the last time I showed it to you. And then I believe I have finished stitching all the leaves finally. I might have a few more leaves. I can't remember for sure. And then I have stitched everything on this side. This side is completely done, all the leaves and all the fruit. So I know I have a little more fruit on this side and maybe a few more leaves. And then the tree is done and I can keep going. This piece is massive. I think I've got it all tucked into the Q-snap, but I'm stitching it currently on a whole yard of fabric. If I didn't say any better, this is 2/2, using again the DMC conversion from the fancy floss that Beth Twist supplied in the pattern. And then this one color right here, I am using Forbidden Fiber Coat Brick because there was not a DMC conversion for it, and that was the closest that I found in my studio. The color that I'm stitching on is officially called Meadow. I've only dyed it twice, once for this piece and once for Zan of Crazy Band Lady Stitches, because she wanted to stitch it on the same fabric I was. The closest we have to it is Love Potion. Love Potion has these purpley blues and greens, but does not have these browns. And again, hopefully this is something we can get into the shop sometime soon. It's a multi-step dye process, so it's a little bit harder to do. And so I just haven't had the time to sit down and make it. The next thing I have is I started my new temperature chart for the year, and I will put a picture right there because I don't have it printed out. And I am stitching Temperature Quaker by Stitchin Mommy. Wow, my brain just froze. And I just have a teeny tiny start on it. I believe it goes, let me take that needle minder off. I don't want to bother anyone with it. I think that's how it goes. Let's see. This way. This is how it goes. So I started with January 1st and I'm stitching down. And yeah, that's really all I've gotten. I think I'm about 10 days in and today's the 25th, so I'm about 2 weeks behind. But the one thing I have noticed with this one is that last year I complained all about those butterfly outlines and how much I hated doing them because I was just always behind and it stressed me out. Well, the thing that was good about those outlines is that I knew I could travel to any day. And so if I had this color on my floss, I could do it for the whole time. Well, this one has no outline, so there's no extra stitching. So it stitches really fast, which I love. But if this color is this day and then this day, that's a lot of counting. And I'm just, let's be honest, I'm just too lazy to do that. So I've been cutting my floss a lot, which is making it a little bit slower. But like right here, we had the same temperature, like within 3 degrees for 4 or 5 days. So I got to stitch that one really fast. But yeah, I'm really enjoying this stitch. It's really simple. It's been super fast and I'm excited to stitch all of the different Quaker motifs because I love Quakers. So yeah. And I am just using the called for DMC. I'm stitching 1/1 on a 28 count Jobelan. I don't know where it's from. It was just in my stash. It was probably from a box that I ordered last year. So there's that. And then the next piece, I stitched on a lot of different pieces, didn't I? Is I will put a picture up there because I don't even have one. My pattern didn't even come with a picture. Is Old English Walled Garden by Chatelaine. And there's where I'm at. And I am stitching this using the hashtag Chatelaine Wednesdays. I can't remember who started the hashtag. One of these days I'm going to remember to look it up before I film. But I only did this, I think I only worked on this 2 Wednesdays since you saw it, maybe even only 1. No, it's only been 1. I didn't work on it last Wednesday because I was knitting, trying to finish up a sample. And that was last week. And then tonight, I don't know if I'm gonna work on it tonight. I'm still pretty worn out from the show I did last weekend. And then since I'm traveling again this week, I might just keep working on Dark Queen. I don't know, we'll see. But anyway, what I tried to do last time was I filled in as much as I could around this black gate. And then I messed up on the black gate because I didn't read the instructions, or I did read the instructions and I just didn't want to follow them. And so I did petite stitches every single time there's a partial stitch. I did a petite stitch. And so I wanted to go back through and try to stitch the back stitching to see if it would really cover it up like I thought it would, because the entire gate is back stitched in silver. And so I did, and there you can see that, I don't know if you can see it, it's back stitched in silver sparkle all down here. And so I don't know that it really covered it up. I don't know. What do you think? Do you think it looks okay? I still have to back stitch this one. The back stitching on this gate is really intense. So it took me a full 2 hours just to do this little bit of back stitching that I did. And I think that's another reason why I haven't been working on it on Wednesdays and don't plan to tonight, is that it's just really intense. And I know I could go do another part, but now that I've started, I kind of want to stop. I kind of want to finish. So yeah. But everything else I love. I love all this green out here, and I can't wait to stitch. I can't wait to start my first specialty stitches and all that. This is, I'm using all of the called for fancy flosses. I think there's also some DMC in here. I just bought the kit from European Cross Stitch. They kit up all the chatelaines, and then I'm stitching it 2/2 on a 28 count Lugana in the Forbidden Fabric Co. colorway Waterfall. It's just a really beautiful blue and green. And on the Lugana, if you know anything about hand-dyed fabrics, the even weaves, the variegation on fabric just always comes out so much more subtle and almost like a watercolor painting as opposed to something, which I'll show you in a second, on a linen or on an Ada. You've got really crisp modeling. On the Lugana and other even weaves, it just comes out like a watercolor. So yeah. The next piece I have to show you, the last piece I have to show you, is Miss Christmas Eve by Mirabilia, and I am stitching this with Sarah from Memphis, Sarah E. We started it on Christmas Eve 2021, and our goal is to finish it by Christmas Eve 2023 so we can cast on for the, I can't remember the exact name. It's a Christmas, not a fairy. It's a Christmas pixie, a pixie. Words are important. We want to cast that on this Christmas Eve, and I said I would only do it if I finished this. So that's the goal. And I got a lot of progress on her the last 2 weeks. I'm so excited to show her off. There she is. I did a lot of filling in here. I've almost completely filled in the dress to this point. There's a couple of lighter greens that I need to fill in, and then this is all beading and stuff like that. Although this needs some yellow like this, but I filled in almost all of it. I'm trying to like make sure from the top down is completely done under the beading, other than the beading. And so that's what I focused on. And then after a week of that, I really needed some block stitching. So that's when I started filling in this green. I think I filled in here, and then I started working on the red bows. And so there's like a dark green that's going to go all the way down here, and then the bows are going to come all the way down underneath that. But I tried to split it up into 12 parts to make sure that I could finish it by Christmas Eve so I could start the new one. And what I did was, because the skirt gets bigger as it goes down, I kind of wanted to finish it to about this level, which is like 30 rows onto the second page. So I still have quite a bit of this to do, and I have quite a bit of this darker green to come in, but I might be able to do it next Monday, Mirabilia Monday is the hashtag. I might be able to come really close next Monday, depending on how much stitching time I had. I had extra stitching time this Monday because my 10-year-old Noelle had to be picked up from school. She's been running a low-grade fever all week, but she's doing better today. So I had extra stitching time on Monday since I worked from home, and so no commuting. Yay. Yeah, I'm stitching this 2/2 on a 28 count Cashel linen that I dyed. It is called Calicotta Gold, which I named after a marble that I found that has gold and gray streaks running through it, and it was really beautiful. So that's where the name came from. And it is in the shop, but I do not have a picture up in the shop. So this is what it looks like. And all I've got are quarter yards of 28 and 32 count at the moment, I think, because it was when I was test dyeing for Sarah and me to start Miss Christmas Eve last year. 2 years ago. Yeah, 2 years ago. Wow. All right. So there's that. And then I do have a little bit of haul, but I left it in the other room, so I'm gonna go get it. Okay, so I just have 3 Mirabilias that I bought somehow. One of them I didn't even buy in the last 2 weeks. I just forgot to show it last time. And this is the Thanksgiving Harvest Fairy. And I have been kind of collecting all of these patterns. Mirabilia finally started releasing them as just the pattern instead of the kit, because I guess they were having trouble kitting up all the supplies, all the fancy flosses. And so they were really limited edition and you just couldn't find them. So this one is just the pattern, and I will kit it up myself, especially because a lot of the colors repeat from kit to kit. And I know I have like this gold is Sassy Brass, and I have that left over from Halloween Quaker. And then like the skin tone is always the same. And so I have that. And I think that might be all I have for this one. But yeah, Bella Rosa is what she uses for the skin. Black Coffee I used in Halloween Quaker. So I know I have a lot of the flosses, and then I just need to go to my LNS, and I'm sure they have the beads. So yeah, I'm excited. One more for that collection. And then I'm gonna open this one. I got the brand new Mirabilia that just came out last month. It is Nightingale, and it is just beautiful. Look at all those bugle beads that make the fringe there. And my friend Monica is kitting this up right now, and she wants to do on a really dark gray fabric, and I promised her I would dye something up for her. So this is my reminder to do that, to see, because she was thinking of using our charcoal fabric, but it's just, I just don't think it's quite dark enough, and it has a lot of modeling on it, and some of this white might get lost. And so I really want to try to dye something up for her that maybe has a little less modeling and is a little darker, because she said that this lantern glows in the dark or something. So she wants to stitch it on something dark, and I think that would be fabulous. And I had no plans to start this, but now she's making me want to start it. And I'm doing 23 and 23 as part of Whip Warriors, so I have no room in my 23 whips to make it, but she's really making me want to quit already, and it's not even the end of January. So yeah, and I also got the bead pack, because I am learning from my friend Sarah that we should go ahead and get the beads when we have the pattern, because you never know when things are going to be discontinued, especially the treasures that Mirabilia sometimes uses. I don't think this one uses any. It's just lots of beads and lots of those white bugle beads. So yeah. So the last piece of haul I have is barely even considered haul. It is basically just a used Mirabilia pattern that I bought, and I'm going to show it back here, so I'm not showing the pattern. But see that? Like, it's all taped up. And she only asked $5 for the pattern, and she had said that there were some markings on it. And when the pattern arrived, it had been damaged in transit. It took almost a whole month to get here. And when I opened the envelope, it had been opened and retaped. And I thought they had ripped the pattern and taped it up. So I contacted her, and she said, oh no, I taped it. I sent it taped. So I don't really understand what that's about, and why she just told me that there were markings on it instead of telling me that the whole pattern had been taped over with packing tape. But I guess since I make a working copy, I guess it really doesn't matter. It's just a little bit weird, but this is Shakespeare's Fairies, and I feel like it's out of print, and that's why I got it, but I don't really know. But I feel like someday I would really like to stitch it, but not necessarily enough to spend the full price on the pattern if it was out of print and going for a lot. I'm sure someone will comment and tell me that I wasted $5 because it's totally not out of print, but I have it just in case, and I'll probably start kitting it up at some point and making a working copy and trying to preserve this weird pattern that she sent me. I don't know. You live and learn, right? That is really all I have for you. I did a lot of knitting in the past couple of weeks, but I did not bring any of it in the room to show. I'm not really sure if that's something you guys would be interested in seeing, if you wanted me to show my knitting content, because I have been knitting a lot more than I used to. And so it takes up some of my crafting time. It's usually what I do in the car, or when I'm waiting for my son at jujitsu, or waiting in the car for my kids in the pickup line. I usually pick up knitting instead of stitching, just because it's a little more travel friendly to me, and I can also knit without looking. So it means I can actually watch my son in jujitsu and still knit, or I can talk to friends or whatever instead of looking down at my stitching. Anyway, that's it for me today. I will try to come back in another 2 weeks. I am going live on Instagram every other Wednesday at around 9 a.m. Central Time with my friend Allie from Savvy Skeins, and we are knitting together and chatting. And so I'm going to try every Wednesday that we are not doing that. I'm going to attempt to film my FlossTube and see how it goes, because I've been enjoying it so far. It's kind of nice to do it when it's quiet and the kids are at school, and I don't have to worry about any of that other than the door opening and closing, the garage door, which I'm sure you've heard several times. But yeah. I am rambling now, so I am going to go, and I am going to pack for my trip to Maryville this weekend. Merville. I'm never going to be able to say that right. Anyway, if you are local to the area, I'm just going to have yarn with me. I'm not bringing any cross stitch, but I hope to see you there. And otherwise, I will see you on Instagram. I will see you in the comments, I hope. And I will see you next time. I hope that you have a good week, and that everything you do, you lead with love. Bye.